Oh, whoops. It's the Bob and Tom Show. Did I hit my head?
I think so.
From the Napa Auto Parts Studios, let's go to New York City and hear the disdain in Tom's voice.
Wow.
What a mess, right?
I'll start handling.
Yeah, but we're here and we can see the bile, too.
I'll start handling those breaks.
He did the
Get a
mash.
thermometer, will you? Welcome back. Welcome back to the Bob and Tom program. We are coming to you live from two places. I am in New York City. That voice was the great writer, comedian Bill Scheft. And I'm leaving out drummer for the band The Truants. More on that coming up. By the way, a band that distinguishes themselves by not playing any music created after
1967.
1967. Let's make that very clear.
Yeah.
Now, we are having a great time. We've done a little bit of musical chairs here in the room because Allie Breen has taken off, and Carmen Lynch is here with us. Another Hi, Carmen.
Hi.
Hi, Carmen.
Hi, Carmen.
Hi, I miss you guys.
I miss you too.
One of America's tallest comedians.
I think so. Me and maybe Judy Gold's got me beat, but yeah.
What are you're 5'12"? What is the
5'12"?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Not shrinking yet.
Now, we have a lot to get to here, but I want to say that thanks to everybody at CBS here in New York City, where we are in the famous broadcast center, 60 Minutes and all these. You think that kind of impressive that Walter Cronkite, probably not the same urinal you were using.
No, Bill Cullen was in the urinal next to me.
Wow.
For the three listeners that got that reference.
I got that.
Oh, the Bill Cullen reference?
Yeah.
Oh, God. See, that's one of my favorite jokes. People ask me what my password is, and my password is on my computer is what? Bill Cullen? Anybody remember the game?
Yes.
Show guy?
I thought it was Alan Ludden.
Yeah, I thought it was Alan Ludden, too.
Password.
Yeah.
What shows which
Bill
and I'm
Cullen?
forgetting?
Bill Cullen was the original Price is Right.
Yes.
And also didn't do What's My Line, did another. Boy, he was all over the.
And that was in this building?
Yeah.
And I
There was
believe
a
Bill
comic-
Cullen.
I can't remember. There was a comic that used to do when Alan Ludden was dying in the hospital. That the doctor came in, and rather than tell him the diagnosis, the doctor said, terminal.
That's Betty White's least favorite joke.
Yeah.
Which one was she married to?
But she was married to Alan Ludden.
She was married to Alan Ludden, and Bill Cullen hosted I've Got a Secret.
I've got to.
There you
Yeah.
go. I've lost them all.
And I
now.
think there was something physically
Joker's
wrong
Wild.
with Bill Cullen.
Yes, it was. He
Wheelchair,
dragged a
right?
foot, as we like to say.
Yes.
Or as we used to be able to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Times have changed. Now, we have a lot to get to here. I want to check in with Bill Scheft on a bunch of things that have been happening. You retired from the world of writing for David Letterman when he retired.
That's right. That's right. I don't say, when people say you retired, I say, no, I can't get work. It's a little different. And, but Dave, the show ended 4 years ago last month, if you can believe it.
God, that went by so fast.
Yeah, it did. And
Have you been doing any TV writing at all?
a little bit here and there, but mostly I'm one of those guys where people come up to me and say, hey, my wife is the maid of honor at a wedding, and she read me her speech last night, and, you know, it just doesn't have it. Could you punch it up a little? Wow. So that's what I'm doing. I'm punching up the maid of honor. And you know, you write 10 jokes in 10 minutes or whatever, and the woman who I've never met comes back to me and says, I can't believe it. This sounds just like me. I'm hysterical. Okay, good. So that's what I do.
Wow.
I do a little. I wrote for Larry David for the last 2 seasons of Curb. I helped him out a little bit, and well,
he was a stand-up when you were starting, right?
Yes. Yes,
you
and
guys
he was a stand-up, but he was a stand-up for years. But but if you count his actual time on stage, it's about a month and a half because he used to storm off a lot. And yeah, he was a great laugh. I mean, one night he went on stage famously, looked at the audience and said, "I don't think so," and walked off. And,
Yep.
Wow.
That is amazing. I love that story. I hear that a lot.
Well, didn't Albert Brooks famously, I want to say he was in Minneapolis or something, and he just got up and didn't like it and just never did it again? He got off, walked off stage and never went back?
yes, but that's the story, but he ended up walking on a couple times because I was an MC at Catch a Rising Star when he came on one night, and he did about 10 minutes, and it was hilarious, but because it's Albert Brooks, 90% of the audience didn't get it, and he did a bit about how at the turn of the century that pickpockets were the big entertainment acts at award ceremonies, and he was just doing a guy walking up and down the dais at the Nobel Peace. Look at, hey, it's Linus Pauling. Hey, give Jonas Salk his watch back. And that was all.
That is just such a great thing. We should find out what's going on, Bill. Now, you sadly, your wife died a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Adrian Tulch, the comedian.
My wife, Adrian Tulch, the comic, she passed away 2.5 years ago, and she was, what can I mean? Carmen knew her, and she was big time funny, and we had the memorial for her, and it was on a Wednesday morning in January. And there were 400 people there. And Larry Amorous, who I know has been on the show, he did a little time. And Julie Halston, who's on Broadway in Tootsie, she did a little time. But we had Adrian close the show, and because we put up a 10-minute video of her, and it was great. And I have a lot of favorite lines by her, but my favorite line by her was, I went out with a lot of Jewish guys. I went out with a guy so Jewish, he lived with another guy's mother, which I really don't think you can do any better than that.
So funny.
You've been working on some novels.
Yes.
What's happening in that realm?
I've had 4 published. I finished one, my 5th, which is called Tommy Dash Was It Everything I Said? And it's about a 60-year-old comic who's trying to apologize his way back into show business. And when I describe Tommy Dash, I describe him as Louis Black, but a little angrier. And I just
how did he alienate himself?
Louis C.K. but with a little less self-control. It was one of those things.
Oh, okay.
But so that was the last book, and then I'm writing a book about Adrian, which I'm almost done with, which is it's a grief novel. It's a grief memoir, weekly disguised as a novel, and I name a lot of names, and I just want people to remember her, and that's been great therapy for me.
Now, you're also in a band.
Yes, my band, the Truants, and we'll be at the Cutting Room here in New York City on June 28th, and that's a big deal, and it's a big room, and we were there in March, and we killed, and Paul Schaefer came up and played 3 songs with the band, and it was a great night for us. So
what's Paul doing these days?
Paul runs around a little. He has a residency in Vegas at Caesar's Palace, where he does 1 weekend a month, and he's got a band together, and that's just Paul in his element.
I heard a brilliant interview that he did with the guys from the Jefferson Airplane offshoot Hot Tuna.
Right.
But, I mean, it's just, you get a guy that really knows what he's talking about, asking great musicians that can speak about what they do, and it was just fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Really great hearing from him. Now, we have everybody back at the Radio Ranch back there while I'm here in New York, and we're getting once again ready for Josh to drive to St. Louis, Missouri with your brothers to see the games. It's very exciting.
Yes.
Sunday evening. And have you decided again what you're going to wear? You're going to maybe Bill Scheft can recommend when you go to see your
Josh,
favorite team. What
your
do you
3
do?
brothers, Uday, Kusei, and D'Artagnan.
Correct.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
I don't know. Maybe I might take the sweater with me just in case I do decide to get all bluesed out, but I like to keep
What's
it low
the number
key.
on the back of the sweater, Josh?
I don't have a number. There's too much turnover in hockey.
Right.
So I just got a blank jersey.
Now, Bill Scheft, what's your philosophy? If you go to a Red Sox game, do you just wear the cap? If you're in New York, what is the?
No, I don't. I never, because I'm nobody's billboard. That's my attitude.
Yeah.
If you know anything about me, you know that I'm nobody's billboard. I wear a hat from somewhere else. I'll wear like a hat from the Seattle Angels, 1965 or something.
Wait a minute. Is that an average white band logo
Yes,
on
I
your
saw
hat?
that. Yes.
Oh,
they were here. I saw them 2 weeks ago. They did that whole White Album, that first great, this technically their second album, and they did, song by song, and it was a great night. They were at Sony Hall on 46th Street, and they were great. They've got 2 original members left, and they walk under their own power, which is great. And
That is good.
Now, Carmen, do you know who the average
No
white band is?
idea. No.
But if we played the first 10
I can
bars
actually
and pick
sing
up
it.
the pieces, you
Yeah.
know that song.
I feel like that's the way it is with every song. Like lately, I'm like, I know this song. Who
Right.
is it? And I'm like, yeah, no idea.
Who do you listen to?
I listen to, I get stuck sometimes in the 80s and 90s. And
okay.
Well, let's have it.
I'm going to the Stones concert next month. I feel like I need to go.
Well,
that's like one of
80s
those
and
bucket
90s.
lists.
That's their age.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what
Well, you would have thought that
Steel
you'd set
wheelchair
that up.
tour.
Yeah, that was perfectly set up.
I didn't know they'd rescheduled, so
They
Mick's
did.
Yes.
Mick's up and running.
I bought the tickets right before he had the surgery, and then he rescheduled for August. So it was supposed to be, I think, this week, maybe, or next week, and now it's August.
And which one will this be? Where are you going to go see it?
Jersey, the Met Stadium. Is that what it's called in Jersey?
The Meadowlands?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what they're
Oh,
called.
yeah.
It's somewhere in Jersey.
Somewhere in Jersey.
Citibank
So-
Field or something?
Is it City Field?
No, City Field is in Queens. No, if you're
No,
going
it's
to
definitely Jersey.
If you're going to Jersey, you're either going to Newark. Maybe you're going to the big hockey rink in Newark, which is called something else.
Is it an outdoor show?
No, probably
I
an
don't
indoor
think
show.
so, yeah. I think it's indoor.
All right. Have you ever seen the Stones?
No, not live. Very excited.
There, yeah. It'll be really fun.
Yeah.
And Mick, I'm glad he's doing well. Do you know that,
I mean, apparently
I'll bet
is.
Bill Scheft knows this. Did you know that Mick Jagger's dad was sort of famous? He was the Jack LaLanne, if you will, of England. He was
Yes,
a TV exercise guru in the 50s. And if you go to YouTube, there's Mick when he's like 6 on
Wow.
TV.
That sounds vaguely familiar. But God bless them that they are.
Yeah, I'm looking up where they are, but
But the fact that Mick is the one having surgery, that Keith is just this immune to all ailments.
When the truants play, I give all these bogus upcoming gigs that we're doing, and one of the gigs I say is, next week we'll be on the corner of 56 in Lexington at the Bloodmobile, and we'll be refilling Keith Richards.
Bill, what's your role in the Truants?
I am the drummer and the. And I guess I'm the leader, and I'll tell you, and we
publicist
all
and-
sing. And one gig we were doing the sound check, and I said we're going to need 5 microphones, and the sound guy looks at me and says, "Are you a drummer people want to hear sing?" And the other guys just loved that. They couldn't get enough of that.
Wow. And
I
you-
looked it up. Sorry, it's MetLife Stadium in Jersey.
MetLife.
I said, "Well, that's Giant
East
Stadium.
Rutherford.
That's outdoors.
Outdoors.
That's
Oh,
a
is
big-
it? Okay.
70,000 people."
Yeah, I can
Crazy.
remember seeing the Stones at an outdoor venue in their tour. I think it was in '75. That was the one where they had the famous blow-up phallus.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That was
yeah.
like 3 stories high, subtle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then partway through the tour, they had to put a patch on it, which was rather comical. Now, is there Truant's merch?
Yes, there is. We have T-shirts, and they come in, as Larry Emerson would say, they come in 3 sizes: jumbo, husky, and oh my God, it's moving toward us.
I think as we Americans have gotten a little bit bigger, I think that'd be an interesting thing to find out some merch expert from the T-shirts from the late '60s versus the sizes of the ones they sell today. I imagine it's significantly larger.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing that people don't realize about the Beatles is they were, forget Ringo, but they were not big gentlemen. They were not tall gentlemen.
No.
I mean, I grew up my whole life thinking that Paul McCartney was 5'11". You read it everywhere, 5'11".
You met him.
And then I met him, and we were the same height. So something happened.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
now,
it was. I'm not saying foul play.
With your profound interest in that music of that era and being on the David Letterman show, a lot of very famous people came through. Was meeting McCartney one of the ones for you that was a little more nerve-wracking?
Oh well, sure. Now he comes on the show, and I'm going to come up to the desk between segments, and I'm dying. I want to say something that nobody's ever said to him, and it's Paul McCartney. What are the odds of that? And So I think of what I'm going to say to him, and I go up to him and I say, hey, listen, thanks for tonight, and thanks for everything before tonight. And he said, are you a writer? And I said, yeah. He said, how did I know that? And I mean, he much funnier than me in that moment, which was great. And then after the second segment, then I came up with a beautiful thing I was going to say, because he's played up on top of the marquee outside the theater. And I went up to him and I said, look, I don't want to tell you your business, but could you play 20 Flight Rock tonight, which was the first song John Lennon ever heard him sing.
Wow,
which was the Eddie Cochran song. And he looked at me and he said, next time, which is great. I mean, so he's very comfortable being Paul McCartney.
Wow, who else did you meet that you were nervous about meeting on Letterman?
I went up to John Fogerty, and who still sings in the same key. And I said, I'm in a band, and we play Fight Fire by the Gollywogs, which is his band before Creedence with his brother. And he looked at me and he said, I'm going to put that back in, which was,
wow.
Yeah, it was a very underrated song.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was cool. But I wasn't...
did you make an effort to meet all these people, or did you stay back?
No, because my job was to take care of Dave, be Dave's corner man. I will tell you, and it is decidedly apolitical, so I can tell you this story. So Donald Trump was a frequent guest on the show, and Dave loved him as a guest because you could ask him anything, and as Dave said, he could really take a punch. So one time, this is a few years ago, he finishes the segment, and they don't come and get him. The segment producers don't come and get him and take him off. So it's a little awkward. And I know Dave is sort of done and moved on to other things, and he's sort of standing there. And so I got to go in there. So I say, hey, thanks a lot. And I know he's a golfer. And I say to a golfer what you say to a golfer. I say, how you hitting him? And he says, fantastic. I'm a 2. Now, meaning he's a 2 handicap. Right. Well, no 2 handicap tells you he's a 2 handicap, because if he does, he's going to give up a lot of money. Because the idea is you tell somebody you're a 10, and then you beat him. So I thought, well, this cannot be true. But the reason I'm telling you the story is that Bill Maher used to do a bit about Don King, how he hated Don King until he met him. They were in a green room together, and he walked in, and Don King said, Bill Maher, you're a genius. You're a national treasure. I named all my children Bill Maher. And Bill Maher thought, Don King is a good guy. So the next time he's on the show, Trump, again, they don't come and take him off, and I go up to him, and what am I going to say? He puts his arm around me and points to Dave and says, this guy is a terrific golfer. Now, he's never seen me. I ain't a terrific golfer. But in that moment, I thought, Donald Trump is a good guy.
Bill Scheft is our guest, formerly of the David Letterman Show, a novelist. Also, we're hanging out with the lovely Carmen Lynch. We got a lot to get to, so stick around. This is the Bob and Tom Show.